Well, hello and welcome to this week's episode here in the Restosaga Workshop. And as my regular viewers may notice, the name of this channel has changed slightly, but the theme remains roughly the same. I just wanted to change the name to more reflect the more up-to-date content of the channel. This week's video features the 1954 Morris Minor, and that's a vehicle that hasn't really featured here on the channel since actually the start of the year. And really there hasn't been a proper video since probably about autumn of 2019. And I don't think that's good enough. There's so much work went into the Morris Minor, and really this channel was established on the restoration of that car. So without further ado, let's do a full video tour of the Morris Minor, get you all up to speed and talk about some things that are going to be coming in the weeks and months to come. And here we are back at the 1954 Morris Minor, and as I said, it's been quite some time since this car appeared on the channel. It's 1954 model, two-door, and it's a deluxe saloon, and I'll talk about why it's the deluxe in a little second. If you've been following this channel sort of long term, the first videos I really made way back at the start were on the restoration of the Morris Minor from scratch. This is the second ground up restoration I ever did after the Land Rover. Well, third really, I suppose, if you count the trailer, but the trailer hasn't featured all that heavily on the channel. The Morris Minor was bought originally, it's a Belfast registration, PZ before the number is Belfast number, and it was owned by a gentleman, first of all, who took really good care of it, and in the winter he didn't drive it, he stored it in a boiler house in the back of the shipyard known as Harland and Wolff, and Harland and Wolff is best known for having built the Titanic, the ill-fated ship that left Belfast and then hit an iceberg. It was fine when it left us, as we like to say. So lived a very good life with its first owner, and then the second owner, also another Belfast man with a less certain history really of that time, and it was only when I started restoring the Morris Minor that became evident there were some changes, and I'll talk about those in a little second. I started into this Morris Minor, we thought it really would only need a bit of a repaint and a mechanical refresh, but working my way around the car, stripping out the interior, removing the engine, gearbox, running gear, it became quite evident that really from probably the red pinstripe line down was entirely rusty. So welding in this car included the inner wings, both sides, two chassis members which run sort of from the midpoint of the car where there's a cross member, there's two chassis members run up, those are both replaced. It had two new panels sort of at the bottom here, that is new, and the same on the other side. I had two brand new rear wings, and the inner wings at the rear were also replaced, plus a new boot floor. So I had never welded anything before we started into this car, so it was quite the learning curve, and 2.5 years of welding alone just to get the body sound. New gutters were also put in, as it was entirely rusty up over here, and they've really smartened the car up. The doors thankfully did not need done, and the floors didn't need done. They had been done previously by my dad, who actually owns this car, I suppose. Whenever I say visual changes to the exterior, we kept it the original black, put the pinstripe back on, but the second owner had put on a 1000 grille and 1000 wings, which have slightly different cutouts, these chrome strips here for the hockey sticks. The chrome strips he'd put on the hockey sticks sort of come in a little bit, and the 1000 grille has horizontal slats. So I modified the 1000 wings and made them suit the cheese grater grille. Other things that he had done, he had put later brakes on, a later engine and a later gearbox. This is a 10098cc engine, whereas the earlier engine would have been smaller. I think it's 856cc, but I'm not entirely sure of the capacity it should have been. Also different type gearbox that I'll talk to you about. So yes, we restored the car, but also tried to return it to as original as we could while keeping the cost down. Series 2 car, which this is, should have a higher cut rear wing, but this one does not, and those wings aren't available from new, so we weren't able to source them. Let's have a look under the bonnet and we'll talk about what was done then. So here under the bonnet of the Morris Minor is the 1098cc A series engine. This engine runs really well, and did run really well once we started it up again, and didn't require a huge amount of work throughout the restoration. All I did was got the cylinder head refaced, and that was the major mechanical work to the cylinder head. Put new valve stem oil seals in it, and gave it a major service check, changed sort of gaskets, sumps, new water pump, but the actual internals, engine, piston, rod, crank all stayed the same. Probably does need a new thrust bearing or two, and the bottom end might need attention with the years to come, but this car does not cover a huge number of miles in any given year. So really, it's not too high up the priority list, but probably is a bit more of a long-term goal. Externally, painted and smartened up really was the order of the day. Distributor is as original, still on points, still in the original dynamo, no problems there. Original starter motor hiding down in underneath, just smartened everything up and cleaned and tidied it. Brand new Lucas Sport coil, just to make sure we had a good strong spark over here. Smartened up the air filter, which is not correct for the Series 2 minor, but is correct for the 1098cc engine. And although I managed to banjax the first fuel pump, I found a spare in a box of spares we had, and that was refitted with good success. The Lucas battery is actually probably one of my proudest bits here in the engine bay. This was just a battery out of Halfords, which is a motor factor chain here we have in the UK. And I stripped the old stickers off and bought a Lucas sticker and put it on, and it has the nice little tops on there, so it looks like an old style battery but is actually entirely new. All important battery isolator. Also under here, brand new wiring loom, as you can see, installed throughout. Didn't want to be trusting 60-70 year old wiring. At the end of the day, this car is what, 66 years old now, so it'll be 70 in 2024. So didn't want to trust too much of that original wiring, which had been hacked to bits by previous owners. People always ask what this tube is here, and that is the capillary tube running to the oil pressure gauge. Again, radiator, not proper for Series 2, more for the 1098 minor 1000 engines, but does the job for this engine, keeps it nice and cool, and all I did was tidy it up. And that's pretty much it under here. Again, all repainted. I'll show you my welding. Inner wing new, this panel's new strengtheners, floor of the engine bay, front cross member which just runs over here, also brand new floor on this side with the chassis legs underneath, new inner wings in both parts, and strengthener there on that side. A lot of welding, and really I was quite fortunate that it all lined up again once it was done, because it was a huge amount of work. Car surgery really is what it was at the end of the day. So let's have a look on the inside of the vehicle and we'll have a talk about what went on in there. So in terms of the inside of the car, an enormous transformation was brought about because we had the entire car reupholstered in the inside. But I thought this would be a good job to get done professionally, as you get what you pay for. So door cards, front and back, were done. 2 front seats, back seat and the rear, I don't really know if you'd call those door cards, they were also redone. And I think this red vinyl is really smart, and it was quite close to what the original should have looked like. The significant cost obviously involved, but it smells amazing and it looks great. The carpet kit my dad actually had in storage from when he bought the car, but the problem was he bought the carpet kit as a Series 2 kit, and the problem with that was the Series 2 and the 1000 have a different gearbox tunnel, and this has the later gearbox tunnel because it was changed to suit the later gearbox. Therefore the carpet did not meet, so we had to get a little bit of extra carpet let in on this side, but it's all part of the story of the car. Nice Morris Minor mats in there, trying to keep this nice carpet nice and clean. In terms of the dashboard, took it all apart and resprayed it in gold. I got this gold from Halfords and it's quite close to the original. Also resprayed the centre of the steering wheel, which my dad had in storage, and I love this marble effect bakelite. Local Morris Minor Owners Club members sold me some various bits and pieces and were very helpful throughout the restoration with advice and coming to help fit the windscreen, which I'll come to in a little second. Appropriate centre horn push. Interestingly, this car does not have the correct speedometer. I think that one's out of a Morris Oxford, but I'm happy to hear some pointers otherwise in the comments below. And everything else was really just cleaned up. The appropriate cables and all were put back in. Cleaned up the heater, which if I come around here, is a great job and actually throws out a huge amount of heat. Little job in the long term, the car was put back together in a rush because I did use it as my wedding car and it had to be finished for a specific date. So I would like to resort these pipes here because they are sitting against that metal edge of the dash, and really I don't think we want those pipes wearing through and pouring out boiling hot water onto the driver's leg someday, so those are definitely going to need rerouted and looked into. Flashicator, or I should say trafficator switch, which I have hooked up to some trafficators, which I'm going to show you now because they are really very cool. So turn the ignition on. Down here we have the trafficator folded away. If I turn the switch, this comes up and we have fitted flashing LED bulbs to those modern drivers, and I'll just turn it back off again. Fully operational. Very nice to have that feature. We put the flashing ones in mainly because drivers on modern roads do not know to look for these trafficators on older vehicles, and they're difficult to see. So everything that we can, we have put back on this vehicle to sort of maximize its visibility. Other things in here, headlining, that was a real job to fit. My dad and I put it in, and yes, there are a few crinkles in it, but overall I think it's pretty smart. And warm days, it's good to set it out so that the heat softens the material and hopefully takes some of those stretches out. But all very nice. Has the incorrect sun visors, but they're the ones for the car, and they tell a story. All cars have a history, and it's never going to be a concourse model. It's meant to be usable. So nice tidy job there, and again finished in the proper black inside of here. So last few things to talk about then. Retained the original registration, restored those plates. It had the incorrect lights on the back. It had the 1000 minor lights, so these were sourced. Can't exactly remember where I got those from. I don't think they were eBay. I think they were from Holden Classic Cars. They don't necessarily have the correct plinth, as those are rubber, and they're very hard to come by because they've all dozed and fallen to bits. Bumpers were also, no, the bumpers weren't necessarily replaced. The chrome was original, but these panels here had all rotted out. So unfortunately, yes, these are fiberglass, but they're never going to rust, and I don't really care. Some people seem to get very caught up with steel bits and pieces, but I think the fiberglass looks fine, and at the end of the day, the car is ours, so why would I get too excited about that? Windows were fun to refit. The sides and all went in easy enough, but the windscreen, and I think anyone who's ever fitted a Series 2 windscreen will attest to this, is an absolute pain, and that was no pun intended. It's obviously in two parts, joined by this centre pillar, which screws in from the inside of the vehicle into this chrome at the bit. Very fortunate this car had its chrome finishers, which are largely missing on cars of this age. And the other thing is that modern glass, if you buy replacement glass, is thicker and the seals are not just right. So huge thanks to those members of the Morris Minor Owner Club in Northern Ireland, and they know who they are, who helped me to refit this glass and get it in and get it all sealed, and really kept me right throughout the whole restoration. Could not have done it without them. Lovely little tax disc holder I got for my dad for Christmas one year. Anyone who wants the details of how to get those reproductions made, get in touch with me and I'll send you them on. Other than that, put back on modern radial tires. Yes, they may not sit quite correct, but add a bit of safety and reliability. So really, in terms of what needs done next, short term, the fuel tank needs looked at. It is leaking, hence I haven't taken this out very often recently. Other things I'm going to consider in the medium term, converting to electronic ignition, the engine, and needs a bit of a tune-up. I think it's running a little rich. Also in the medium term, you'll know that probably about last year I replaced the bushes in the front suspension to polyurethane. I'd like to do the rear ones as well and just tidy up the boot area. The boards rattle around a bit, and I think that would be a good job. And in the very long term, I suppose we should probably treat this car to an engine rebuild. And that's pretty much it. Plenty to do, plenty to keep us all entertained, and lots of content coming on the channel very soon, all based in the Morris Minor. Well, apologies if you heard my little dog getting involved in the video there at the end, but a little bit of barking does nobody any harm. So I really hoped you enjoyed that walk around the Morris Minor, looking at the exterior, a few of the restoration details, some bits of the history. We looked in the engine bay and the interior, and we've also talked about bits and pieces that are to come in the future, as and when funds appear. Also on the channel, we're going to be looking a bit more at the Toylander, and there's big bits of progress there recently, and if you're one of my Patreon subscribers such as MH Aquatics, and a big shout out to them as they give me the suggestion for this video this week, then you'll be able to follow a bit more up to date as I try and post at least a couple of times every week over on Patreon, just so you're getting a bit of value for your money. Once again, thank you very much for watching here in the channel. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button down below. You can also follow me on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. I do like to keep all my social media channels updated, and I try and put a bit of different content over on each, just to keep things interesting. Please catch me again next week. Videos every week at 5 PM here in GMT, and we'll see you again. Thanks for watching.